Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal Podcast. I am your host, Sean Ellis, and I will be with my co-host here in a few minutes as well. She's running a little late. We've got a great group of people on here tonight. I actually got to meet them when I went to the Rock Island Roadhouse Expo, and got to meet them at a party afterwards as well. We got to talking as well. And I even seen Blake sing a little bit of karaoke. So without further ado, everything vaguely paranormal, and we will introduce Miss Shelley Pruitt. How you doing, Shelley?
What's the disclaimer for us that you put up?
No, you guys, like I said, you guys will be fine. And then we got Blake. Hello, Blake.
How's it going?
And then we've got Ryan. How you guys all doing tonight?
Good, man. How about you?
It's actually a nice day today. I actually got to take the dog for a walk today, and it was nice out and did a few errands, and it wasn't as cold as it used to be, and I'm good for that. So.
By the way, Sean, what happens at the after party stays at the after party. Don't be fronting anybody out now.
I said he said karaoke that night.
I was gonna say Larry Eisler already got called out for that because he didn't tell me it was going online, so for other people to see.
Yeah. So I mean, he did a hell of a job that night. It was fun. That party was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
Alicia from Eternal Paranormal hosted that party, and it was pretty cool hanging out with all you guys that night.
Yeah.
So, I guess one of the questions I always ask when I start the show, because to let everybody know who you are, and how you got into the paranormal. We'll start off with Shelley.
Okay. Well, I've been doing the paranormals pretty much since I got here. Whenever I was little, I had a lot of experiences, one of which includes, I'll tell you, I'll make it as quick as possible because these guys have heard it ad nauseum. Is when I was little, I was about 4 years old, and every night when I went to bed, I used to see these little things go across in front of my door every night. If it would have been just one night, I would understand, but it was every night. And they looked like interpreted to be goats. And the last night I stayed in that room, one of them kind of snaked its way up to the top of the door frame and spread out. And I never slept in that room again. Right before I left the room, my cloth-bodied doll fell onto the bed and it rolled across the floor and hit the wall. And so after that, I never slept in that room again. And when my younger brother came along, he wouldn't sleep in the room. He would scream all night long. And from there on out, my brother and I slept on a fold-out couch in the living room until we moved out of that house when I was 9 and he was 5. So we pretty much... that room, nobody could seem to stay in. And I was always the kid that read all the, Scooby-Doo, the original Ghost Hunter is my favorite, in the world. So, but yeah, I used to be the kid who'd ask my mom, can we go stop and see if there's ghosts in that abandoned house? So, yeah, I've been doing it for as long as I can remember.
That's pretty cool. What about you, Blake?
So for me, mine's not as creepy or as dark or as crazy as Shelley's is. But we've come to love her anyways because she loves to attract those kinds of spirits.
They do like me.
Yeah. And so mine started whenever I was about 13 with my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother passed away at that time in my life. And I just remember waking up, and it was a couple of days after she had passed, and saw her standing at the foot of my bed. And whenever I tell the story, it's like one of those quick things that your brain does. It's kind of like, oh, it's you. Wait, hold on. Wait, you're dead. Like how, what the hell am I seeing? And so that really kind of opened up the door to the questions for me. It's like, what was that? And so I started jumping into like TV shows, books, stuff like that, until later on when I started actually starting to investigate. So I blame my great grandmother's spirit for getting me into this. I've always had some kind of inkling of the supernatural or paranormal or whatever, but that did it for me.
Yeah, blame her. She's dead. She can't do nothing about it.
She can't do it. No, she'll get me later on, I'm sure.
Yeah,
probably during a dice session or something.
Just kidding, Mimi.
I'll say she's going to show up at the foot of your bed tonight and wake you up.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Might trip him down the stairs.
Luckily, I don't have any of those in the house, so we're good. But she'll probably bang a couple of times.
What about you, Ryan?
Well, when I was growing up, my grandpa always had these fantastic ghost stories. He grew up in Eastern North Carolina, and he would tell me all these stories, the things that happened to him as he was, moving along in life. And I became super interested. I became that kid that was in the library reading everything I could about ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, anything I could get my hands on. But as I got older, I began dating a girl who lived a town over, and I would go spend the weekend at their house. And I was in high school, so I was about 17, 18 years oldish. And when I would sleep over, I wouldn't sleep in the bed with her. I would go sleep in the guest room out of respect for her dad. And so I'm a night owl, always have been, up late at night. Everybody else is asleep. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. I go into the other room, turn on the television, and reach over to turn the lamp out. And when I reach over and I look into the hallway, I see an old woman as solid as me and you, in a nightgown, permed hair, glasses. I could see the glint of the light off of her glasses as she walked into my girlfriend's bedroom. So wow. I thought someone had broken into the house. So I jumped up immediately, went in her room, looked for whoever it was, couldn't find anybody, went and checked all the windows and doors in the house. Her dad was asleep on the couch. Her mom was asleep in her bedroom. So I was like, well, I guess I just saw a ghost. And so the next day I wake up, I talk to her dad, and I'm like, hey, I got to ask you something. I said, late last night, and he stops me and he goes, oh, you saw her? And I said, yes, I saw her. Who could she be? And he said, well, there was an old woman who lived here in the 70s who was stabbed to death in this house, and that's who we keep seeing at night. And so ever since then, I've been trying to search for answers as to why I saw what I saw, and could I see something that clear ever again? So that's what got me into it.
He wants answers.
Yes.
That's awesome. I'm going to give a big shout out to some of the people that's in the house here. We got Tammy Christensen. She's one of my mentors. That she taught me some Reiki when I was on my former team, and she is still one of my mentors today. We got Brenda Boyd. She is here in the house. Thanks for stopping in. We got Richard Johnson in the house. We got Susan Victoria from Paranormal Happy Hour. Thanks for sharing out. We got Nathan Atwell in the house, and we got Jeff Taflin in the house as well. Thanks, guys, for all stopping by. That's great. I'm glad to see everybody's popping in. So, do you think the fact that a lot of people get their abilities from a trauma that they've been around? Have you guys ever encountered anything like that you know of people that actually had, like, being an empath or being clairvoyant or anything like that from a trauma situation in their past lives or what they're dealing with now?
Are you asking if we personally have had a trauma and that gave us abilities, or have we just met people that have that?
Encountered people like that.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
I would say yes. We know quite a few people who have. I know collectively we do. I know some different, just like they do, that have had some kind of trauma in their past, and then all of a sudden at 26, they're going, holy crap, I'm seeing things that I don't know why I'm seeing things, or I'm hearing things, and now I'm going to go and see if I'm crazy because I shouldn't be hearing voices when there's no one in the house. Right. And a lot of times I see it, usually it's something that I don't think they normally consider an ability. They usually just think that, hey, I'm losing my mind. I just went through all this. I've been having a rough time. But that's not always the case. Whenever they kind of look into it a little further, they realize that they probably always had this ability. They've just kind of squashed it, but it just took trauma to kind of make that ability kind of step forward so that they can utilize it. That's my opinion.
I think that's a really good that I'll touch upon as well, because I think that Shelley hit on it. I think it's something that I think everybody has it to a certain extent, and I think others are born with more of an ability than others aren't. Just speaking from personal preference, like with my family lineage, like I've been told multiple generations back that people have had instances or abilities, empathic or psychic, even stuff like that. And then to have weird stuff going on in my life, but mine wasn't, I don't feel, started by any kind of trauma. But I feel like everybody's born with it, but I feel like some people do experience that trauma, and therefore it pushes it further out in them. So.
Right. And I'll jump on what you just said. I think a lot of people who go through trauma as a survival instinct have to become more perceptive. And I think that maybe that's what kind of kickstarts that sort of thing. And they do become more perceptive. And so not just to their surroundings, but what may be beyond those surroundings.
Well, but then that lends the question: do they actually open their eyes to their own gifts because they've had to become more perceptive, so therefore they're more open to getting, to realizing it, or is it something they've happened? Which comes first, chicken or the egg? Did they have the ability and it was open because of the trauma, or because of the trauma they had to become in survival mode? They had to become more perceptive. They had to become more aware of their surroundings. Now all of a sudden, this gift is more available to them. Mm-hmm. So, which do you think is first?
I think it's one of those that everybody's born with some level of type of ability. It just depends on whether that person suppresses it their entire life, or it is taught out of them, or they expand upon it, or they grow it and they nurture it. There's some parents who will be like, oh no, we don't do that in this household. There's other parents who will be like, oh wow, that's interesting, let's explore that. Kudos to those parents. Because I was one where it was taught out of me for a while. At 16 years old, I grabbed my first tarot deck and started reading tarot. And I remember growing up, I was told, we don't do that. Put that away. That's devil's work. We don't do that. And so it took me further on down the line. This is after seeing my great grandmother's spirit. I'm trying to find answers to come to terms. And now I'm at 35. Finally coming to terms with what I've experienced my entire life. So,
and I would agree with you on that, Blake, because like whenever I would tell my parents, because I would say, oh, I saw this little girl in the yard, or I saw this over here, or I saw the goats. They would look at me and go, what are you talking about? There's nobody out there. There's no goats in the house. There's no this, there's no that. And so I got to where I just wouldn't tell them. I just figured, okay, they can't see it and I can. Yep. So it just, and it's not that they told me I couldn't, because they couldn't see it. So they were like, oh, you have a great imagination. Okay. But I'm not imagining it. I see it every night,
Exactly.
So it's one of those things that you just quit saying anything about it until you find your people, like, my people right here, Blake and Ryan, that I can go, okay, I know this sounds crazy. I'm just going to tell you anyway. And they go, no, tell me. So.
Right. All right. I'm going to introduce somebody else here to the show, guys. This is my co-host tonight. She is the producer of All Access Network Television, Ms. Gwen Johns.
Hi, Gwen.
Hi, Gwen.
Hey, guys. Hey.
And then we've got a few more. We've got a few more people that's coming to the house.
I got to tell Shelly, I was listening, and I get exactly what you're saying about finding your people.
Exactly.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so I get it. That's exactly the way it was with me most of my life. So I get you.
Awesome.
We have a few more that has dropped in here in the house. We have Alicia McFadden from Eternal Paranormal here. Let's see. Amber McDonald's is in here. And Jesse Stone. So Doug Potts. Amber McDonald, let's see here. Jake Ryan, thanks for dropping in, guys. Most definitely. I guess the reason why I asked that question the way I did, and is because you guys, I'm sure, have done residentials, right? You've done residential cases, and I have done residentials as well. Do you believe that some of the people sometimes manifest that because of the trauma?
100%. 100%.
We actually, when we go to a residential, we put them through a litany of questions, and we make them leave when we actually investigate their home, because we need to determine if it's something in the home or if it's the person. And I always tell them, don't lie to me. And, are you on any medication? Is there this? Is there, we have this whole list of questions. And I tell them, don't lie to me, because I will look in your medicine cabinet. I will look.
Right.
You know,
Don't test her; she'll do it.
I will. Well, I will
Yeah,
go
well, I
through her.
mean,
You know,
right. I
anyway.
agree with her. I do agree with her.
So-
You know,
Well, because if we're being called in, I mean, there's a reason why we're being called in. It's something that they can't handle themselves. They feel like they need external help. And so we are firm believers that we cannot fight what we don't know. And there are also certain things that we're not going to go up against because we are not knowledgeable enough in that realm. I'm not going to try and walk into somebody's house with these two and rid the house of a Native American spirit because I don't have that knowledge.
We're not qualified for that.
Or throw it out there, the D word, demon, because I'm not a demonologist or I'm not ordained priest, you know. So we have to know what we're up against. And I think that's our process is ask the questions, phone interview first, then the team meets. We talk about what they said. We want to meet you in your residence. Then we meet again, figure out what the team thinks. Then we move forward and we ask them, look, when we're investigating, because we're going to investigate before we figure out what we think is haunting your house, we have to have you removed. As Shelley said, you've got to trust us enough to be able to come in and investigate your house. We ain't gonna take nothing away, but Shelley will go through your medicine cabinet.
Absolutely.
We're not gonna take any. And that's we get very personal. You know, we're gonna ask you about past traumas, about your medications, about any recent financial strains or divorces or anything that we think could be affecting you possibly.
Children in
real
the home.
person with real person with you.
Right, because that stress and trauma could act as a battery and be fueling exactly what we're going up against, and it helps to know those sorts of things.
And the last thing, I'm sorry, Blake. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, though, back to what Shelley was saying was whether it's the person or not, and tying into your question, I think it's detrimental to know whether it's the house or whether it's the person, because I do believe that people can manifest that on themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Just by internalizing massive amounts of trauma that they themselves are not working through.
And the last thing we want to do whenever we go in is to make, if it is truly the house, the last thing we want to do is make something in there angry, because these people have to come back and live there. So we want to be as informed as we can. And we don't do a lot of residentials anymore, just purely for the fact that a lot of people, whenever you do tell them, this is the way we're going to run this, a lot of them be like, oh, you want to know all that about me? Yeah. For our safety, as well as yours. Because if we get in there and make something mad, you have to come back and live here. We leave. We don't want it to come with us any more than we want it to bother you. But for our safety, we got to know what we're going up against. So,
yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I've been across cases that I've had to deal with Indian stuff as well. I've actually been taking shaman classes for over 1.5 years now, and I've got a great mentor that does that. And if I ever need a question, I can always call him. He's always on the phone, and the group of people that I'm associated with that. And in dealing with that, you've got to deal with that with the Indian way and not a normal way that you would deal with a different spirit, because those Indians, whatever, if it's on their ground, you got to respect what was there, because otherwise they will turn things over as in be very chaotic. So,
and we do have someone that we work with that is Native American. We have an ordained minister that has taken the exorcism classes. We know people, and if we don't think we can do it, we will be like, hey, this is not our forte. We deal with Casper and Casper's, buddies. If it's anything else, we are going to turn you over to who you need to talk to, because we're not going to play with something in someone's home, especially.
No.
Yeah. No. I've seen people go into places and try to deal with the Indians, and I've watched them do it, and I'm like, if you don't know anything about it, guys, don't do it. Have somebody come in that has the knowledge to take care of that.
Right. Like you're asking for trouble at that point.
Yeah, because that gets very tricky at times. We actually were at a residence one time, and we found out it was Native American ground. And in order to get the approval of them, we actually played their drum beat and started playing it. And then we started getting better reactions from them instead of negative reactions. We played their Indian drum beat. And that was a very interesting thing that happened that night, because we ended up passing over some kids' spirits that were trapped in that area as well. And, but you either offer them to some tobacco, some alcohol, after you figure out what it is, and if you're dealing with, shadow walker, they're different.
Well, I think that so the last we haven't touched a residential case in a couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
The last because the last one that we did, I don't know, it just kind of it made us rethink if this is kind of the direction that we really wanted to go. Now, granted, we will always say anybody who needs help, we will be there to help them.
100%.
We don't charge for services. If you're having an issue with the paranormal, we will come out and we will help you if we deem that we can. However, this last one that we had, we got contacted, went through the whole rigmarole with them of the interviewing process. We got to the point of being able to investigate their house. They had a lot of spirits coming through their house. We pretty much determined their house was like a kind of a pass through, if you will. Just a lot of them just coming and going. And we get to the end of the night, the second night, because we did 2-night investigation of that house because we had a lot of stuff going on. And we got everybody out of the house. We're doing our business of, sealing and pushing it out.
Salting it, yeah.
All of that stuff. And we realized that the grandmother that doesn't live here is blowing up the person's phone who contacted us and was like, what are they doing? When are they? And it's like 2:30 in the morning. When we're wrapping up, and she's like, I want to bring the kids back because we had her take the kids. And we're like, it's 2:30 in the morning. Why is she bringing the kids back? Long story short, because I could go on for hours about this case. Come to find out, I told them at the end of it, or we kind of all told them at the end of it. I was like, look, this is going to be like a Band-Aid. We're putting a Band-Aid on it at some point. As Shelley Lovely says, she does a great analogy. If you continue to throw stones at a wall, at some point that wall's going to break and you're going to have to seal it back up. And so that's what I was in the process of telling her. Come to find out, the grandmother was a practitioner, Saint Muerte. And she was the one that was actually causing issues with this family due to the relationship.
Because she didn't like her son-in-law.
Yep, she did not.
Due to the relationship between her and her son-in-law. And so it was at that point we were like, and we know other people who are a practitioner, Saint Muerte and all that kind of stuff, but she was using it for very vengeful dark. And dark purposes. And it was at that point we were like, do we want to put ourselves in harm's way like this? Because all it takes is her turning towards us and being like, okay, well, I can wreck your lives too,
Right.
So.
And what was interesting was she wanted them to tell her every single thing that we did so that she could undo it. Well, the good thing was, and again, I believe that we had heard that they were having problems within 2 weeks again. And we said, we can't help you if when we come out, it's undone. Yeah, and it was basically that she wanted to, the good thing was we couldn't, the people couldn't tell them everything that we did because we made them go outside while we sealed the house and salted around it. And then we saged them before they went back in and did the holy oil. And so the grandmother bringing the children back, we went ahead and the parents wanted us to sage them too. St. Michael's prayer, all that good stuff before they entered the house back in. And I looked at the lady and I said, the grandmother does not need to be walked back in that house, not tonight. And fortunately, they sent her home. And she was pulling out and then we pulled out. And then right after, I think didn't we see her car coming back around the block as we were crossing?
Oh yeah, we got the nastiest look as we were pulling out. We were pulling out and she was turning in. And I mean, it was just a,
yeah, she was checking to see if she had
look, and we were like, we're gonna get the hell out of here right now.
So we got a question here. How can you tell if someone is a guardian angel or having trouble letting go to a pass through?
Oh, how can you tell they're having trouble letting go or to pass on?
Yeah.
I think that's going to depend on the communication you get from them.
True. Yeah.
What this particular house was pretty much like a paranormal subway. It's like, here's the other ones jump on it and they go on to their other destination. I mean, it was like we were getting so many different names on both nights. Right. And they were giving us names. As far as the guardian angel goes, I don't do a lot of research on the angel realms or the demonic realms, either one. Like I said, I don't play in any of that. I'm not knowledgeable enough in that. I leave that to someone more knowledgeable than I. So I'll tell you, I don't believe I've ever encountered a guardian angel. I don't think just, they like, hey, here I am. No, haven't had that happen. Would be cool. I'm here for it. But I've encountered a lot of spirits, so that
Right.
particular one was spirits that were just passing through, and it was just always different. Everything was different. Guys, did we even get a single same name either night?
No, we didn't, not at all. But
No.
kind of what you said, Shelley. I don't think we've ever encountered a guardian angel, at least that I know of. But we have encountered spirits that do have trouble letting go, and they'll let you know what's going on and what they need sometimes to pass on. Like I'm thinking of what at the Gregg County.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was his name, Blake? The guy that reached out that needed us to. He needed
Ben.
a priest.
Alan.
Ben.
Oh, that was Alan.
Alan,
At,
That's
at,
Alan,
the, at
yeah.
the very beginning.
Yeah, because
That was Alan.
he was remorseful for something. He kept letting us know he needed a priest. He needed a pass through, and so they'll let you know if there's something that you can do or something that they need. Yeah.
And if you're curious, I mean, if you're curious and you're communicating and you're getting good communication, just who are my guardian angels or spirit guides or anything like that, ask them. Ask spirit. Just ask them. That's all you can do. I mean, I've had plenty of conversations figuring out that I have a couple of ancestors that are on what I would call my spiritual team as spirit guides. Some of them are spirit guides.
Right.
Just ask them. Just communicate with them.
Mm-hmm.
I ask them, but I think that they just keep dropping like flies. They're like, "Who's up for her?"
Well, that's because yours is sitting. That's because yours is sitting over here like this, smoking a cigarette, and drinking an old
Yeah,
fashioned.
mine's drunk half the time, I think. They've never told me. I've been like, "Who are my spirit guides?" And they're like, "Oh crap, who's answering this one?"
It's because they don't know because they keep resigning over and over and over again.
I have the worst spirit guide employees. They're like, "Not it, not it, not it." So.
Yeah. I actually got to discover my spirit guides through Tammy when she was doing Reiki with me. We went through past life retrogression stuff, and that's when I discovered a lot of my spirit guides and stuff. But yeah, Blake is right. Just talk to them. They will talk back to you, and they will also teach you things as well. They've taught me a lot of different things.
Yes.
Now, there are some that take great pleasure in jacking you around and leading you down rabbit holes, and they're laughing at you, but there are some that do need help.
Ryan does have one like that, and it
Yes.
kind of follows him around. And every time he'll get on and be getting some good answers to questions and stuff via the spirit box, all of a sudden he'll ask a serious question like, can you tell me, can you, I don't know, just he'll ask some question and it'll just pop up and go, your mama.
Your mom.
Your mom or your mama. He gets that every time.
Multiple locations. Doesn't matter where it's at. He comes through. Your mom.
Yeah.
I'm just like, damn it. Because it makes me laugh every time, and I think he
Oh,
gets
I've
a
had
kick
him
out of
cut.
making me laugh. So
I've definitely had them cuss me and tell me to get out, and they don't like me being there. I've had them definitely come over and tell me that numerous
I get
times.
called everything but
And,
a Christian, so
right.
it's fine. You're fine.
yeah.
I will tell you though, we had a very sweet lady that came on, and she was kind of telling us. This was when we first met her, and she just randomly kind of told us, she was telling Blake that he's got what'd she tell you? 4? I'm talking about Chris. You had 4 or 5 around you, and she looked at Ryan and she goes, "You're kind of by yourself right now, but it's okay." And then she looks at me and I said, "I don't want to know." She goes, "Yeah, you do." And I go, "All right, tell me." And she goes, "I'm going to tell you this. I wouldn't step to you." She goes, "You've got an army." And I was like, "Well, that's why none of them are stepping up. Nobody wants to be the first one charging in." They're like, "No, not it." So it's interesting. Yeah, as far as being protected, I think all 3 of us on the whole, I feel like the 3 of us in general, when we go into a location, I feel like we're very well protected without having to do anything else.
Yeah, I agree.
I know the time that when I was around you guys have a lot of energy like I do. And you can pick up on that when you're around people that are the same. And that's cool because like I said, when you got high energy, you never get an attachment. I've never seen anybody with high energy get an attachment. But when you have low energy, I've seen them get attachments. And I've had to take them away from some of my former teammates.
Mr. High Energy Blake, he's going to debunk you.
Yes.
I will be the first person that you have met then that is high energy, chaotic energy, and has received an attachment.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't crossed that yet, but so far, me having high energy, I've never had one.
That's good, man.
That's interesting to know.
I've
mean,
been
that's
followed,
interesting
but not
enough.
had an attachment. I've been
Yeah.
followed multiple times, but as far as an actual attachment like what Blake had, not at all. Have you seen Mr. Dude in your new house, Blake?
Shadow Man. I call him Shadow Man now.
Yeah.
But no, I actually have not. I honestly think that it's gotten to a point where, I think he got bored. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
be
you
honest.
ignored him enough,
I'm gonna
yeah.
be dead honest. I think he got bored. But yeah, I received him back in 2021. I received him like a second gift.
So,
New little bundle of joy. Here's an attachment for you.
Surprise! It's Satan.
so Blake, that this gives me another question for you then. Since you have had high energy and you have had an attachment, and you're one of the first ones I've heard like this, how do you think that happened? How do you think that got attached to you the way it did?
I went into an area, and this is what we kind of always tell everybody.
You were
about.
stupid.
It wasn't, but it wasn't on purpose. It really
You were
truly was
you were
not
stupid on accident.
Yeah,
Okay,
accidentally dumb.
accidentally dumb. Okay.
Exactly. It wasn't on purpose. We were at Yorktown Memorial Hospital, and there is a room up at the top portion towards the front that they have deemed basically suicide room. And it's where a gentleman had taken his life, rumored to have taken his life. And so I walked into there and set a REM pod down on the bed, and there was a mirror to the right of it. And I began asking questions, and I kind of began asking a little bit of probing questions, not provocation of any kinds whatsoever. But when I realized about halfway through my questions, I looked across from the mirror that was on the bed to another mirror that was directly across from that. And that REM pod was sitting in the middle of two mirrors. And I started asking those probing questions. And it was right after that I believe that I ended up getting attacked somehow. I got a physical attack from that.
You were grabbed on the back of the deck that night.
Yeah.
Is that when that?
Yeah,
Oh, that was
night.
that one.
It was.
Where they called a name they shouldn't know connected to
Yes.
you, and they said kill him and grabbed you.
They grabbed me on the back of my neck in the middle of an SS method and just yelled or said kill him into my earphones, and I was like, I'm done. And a week after that, coming back home, I was asleep having a horrible dream, like I was being drugged around in this dream. I woke myself up, blood curdling screams, everything from my knee to the bottom of my foot's off the foot of the bed, and I am like down in the bed like this, like, hands way up. And whatever had me, I could still feel had a hold of my ankles. And I just grabbed the holy water on the nightstand because that's how I sleep, and just started slinging it backwards and calling it everything but a Christian and telling it to get the hell. And suddenly it just like let go. Light comes back into the room. And from that point on, he would let me know that he was still around. I'd see him in doorway. I sealed my bedroom after that. And I remember seeing him one morning standing in the doorway in the hallway. He couldn't come in, couldn't cross. But I'd catch glimpses of him, and he was tall. Oh my God. He'd take up shoulder to shoulder an entire doorway. It's tall as the doorway. And he was mean. That's putting it very lightly.
And there were two other paranormal investigators that came and stayed with you, and they both saw him as well. Now, he never showed himself whenever I was there. But he did show himself to two other paranormal investigators when they stayed at Blake's house one night after we were done with the investigation.
Now, Blake, when they tried to get rid of him, didn't like the light bulb go out or something, or it blew up or something?
It buzzed. In my bath, like we wake up the next morning, and one of the guys who's an ordained minister or ordained priest, he comes up to me and he's like, well, whatever, your guy is like, I tried to get rid of him. By the way, you need to replace your light bulb in your bathroom because it blew out when I was in the process of it. And I mean, like, I go in there and it's one of those, the dome shaped ones on top of the ceiling. I unscrew it and like pull it down. And I mean, like the glass is just shattering inside of it. And I was like, okay, didn't get rid of it. No,
that's a cheaper fix than
it.
it bust in the mirror, though. So
yeah.
thank you for breaking the light bulb.
It's very true.
Well, and
so yes,
that location. Go ahead.
I will definitely say that it's not impossible because I am a very high energy, chaotic person when we're on investigations. And yeah, I did receive an attachment. He was with me, oh my God, for at least 3.5 years.
It was a lot. He would make his presence known quite often to you.
Yes, he would.
Yeah. Now that particular location, though, we will tell you that particular location is very nasty, and that is the one place that we honestly believe that there is something demonic. That not not that what is organically there, that it was legitimately brought there, summoned there by someone. That is the one place out of every place we've investigated, all of the United States, that we will legitimately say we think that there is something demonic there. And anyone who goes there, I do not know a single person that has ever gone there that has not had some kind of experience that they cannot explain. And from that location, we have all been followed home. Ryan had an old woman that actually scratched his arm while he was
horribly,
asleep
yeah.
after that.
Yeah, I came home shortly after being there, and I come home late at night, and I get out of my car, and I hear somebody go, Ryan, like trying to get my attention, and nobody's on the street. I'm looking around, I don't see anybody, and I was like, huh, that's weird. So I go inside, and I go to bed, and I wake up a couple hours later, and I've got 3 big long scratches down my arm that I didn't do. I bite my fingernails. I don't even have any fingernails. And I texted these two, and they were like, holy crap. And it was bad. Like, it drew blood. It was so bad.
Blood. Mm-hmm. And that location before I've actually woken up with a handprint that was on the inside of my thigh that basically went from the inside of my thigh to my knee. And it was one great big handprint that left marks. And after we've left, I've seen a man 3 nights in a row standing at the end of my bed. And, you just wake up, you go, get out, and they disappear, and you see him next night, you're like, get out, and he disappears. Last night, I'm like, either get in the bed or get out, and quit waking me up. And then I never saw him again. So get out of my room, fool. Weirdos. Find me.
I was gonna say, it's all it took, Shelly, was for you asking him to get in bed with you, and he's like, "Nah, I'm out."
That's usually how I run them off. That's usually how I get rid of them. No shame in my game.
Well,
that's scary.
That's definitely a good thing to know. That's why I like talking to other teams with their experiences, because, like I said, you're the first that I've noticed that actually has high energy that has an attachment like that, because I've always had high energy and I've never had an issue. And Tammy, the one that's in our chat here, she's a Reiki master, and we've never had an attachment, but we have taken them away from people before. And but that's interesting to know on how you got that and how it occurred. So that's something to keep my eyes out for, in the future.
I think I had 4 Reiki healers try to get rid of him, and it never.
He was stubborn. Yeah,
they never would.
And you did get it because you were sitting in between 2 mirrors. You were in an infinity loop, but sitting between those mirrors, and I think that's more than likely. I do believe that's how you got that.
I think I pissed him off by accident.
Right.
I think I pissed him off. I wasn't being mean, ugly, or provoking in any ways. I was just basically asking, like, what kind of mental state were you in when you made this choice? That's kind of the line my questioning was going, because we don't provoke. I don't provoke. No. I'm not a come at me bro kind of guy. No. Very respectful with my questions, but I think I just pushed a little bit too hard. And I actually don't think it was the spirit that I was trying to talk to. I think it was one of them that I don't know if they're
suppresses the other spirits.
Yeah, or they come and go or whatever it is. But I definitely got something that was not the gentleman I was trying to talk to.
Yeah. And the whole thing is that, I always have to wonder, what is the difference between an attachment, something just follows you and hangs around for a while? Because we've all had something just hung around with us for a little while and then it's gone. Just maybe it came because it was like, hey, I dig your energy right now. I want to hang out with you a little more. I know you left. I tell the story I told these 2 guys, we left this one particular location and I was having a conversation in the car with the 2 of them. Or so I thought. And I looked down and I realized that my phone is not connected. And so I called them and I go,
wow.
I said, guys, I go, did my call drop? And they're like, you just now called us.
Yeah.
And I said, I've been having a conversation in this car with someone. And they're like, no, you just now called us. And I'm going, no, I've been talking to y'all for 25 minutes of this drive. They're like, no, you haven't. I go, then who the hell was answering me in the car? This is not good. And I have looked, and this was the same location from where that, like, I actually looked over. You're going to get on the road or something, and you're turning, and I've seen someone sitting in the seat beside me. That'll make you jerk your car, swerve it a little bit. And I have
Uh-huh.
seen them in the back seat too after leaving this location. And it's always someone different, which that always, that wigs me out. Then I'm like, okay, time to stop and get a soda. We're gonna get out of the car. Everybody out. Come on, everybody out. Potty break. Get out of my car. Get out of my car. This is where you get off.
You go that way, I'll go
And I'm
this
going
way.
this way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you think the difference is between the attachment and something that just wants to hang out with you for a few minutes? Would you consider that an attachment?
The one that I had followed
I
me
don't.
from a restaurant we went to investigate. It followed me home, and it took me a few days to realize what was going on. But all of a sudden, the rear end of my truck went out, of my F-150, locked up for no reason.
Wow.
And then 3 days later, after that, I lost my job. And
Oh,
the funny thing is,
Wow.
and this is how I caught it, and I thought I was hallucinating, and I've told this story before. I was sitting in one of the rooms that I have hard grading wood doors, and I would look in the door, and the grain would keep changing in it. It would form different pictures in the door. And I stopped and I looked and I was like, no, there's something coming out of the window. There's some type of glare that's changing this. I sat there, debunked it, turned the lights, turned the door, looked at it from different angles. And every time I turned, that door would have a different type of grain view in it. And finally, I realized that's what was following me home. And when I got it cornered, I finally got rid of it. But it took me 3 days to figure out what it was. But I seen it in the wood grain doors. It kept shifting.
Wow.
And I thought it was the most bizarre thing I have ever seen in my life. And like I said, I thought I was hallucinating, but I sat there and I debunked it, turned the lights off, switched angles, the whole 9 yards. And that door would keep having a different grain image in it all the time.
Wow.
And it
so
was
was that a
strange.
hanger-oner or was it an attachment?
That's one that just followed me home.
Okay. So
I
you
think
called
now-
like a hitchhiker, right? Just a hitchhiker came with you and now you want to go back where they belong.
Right. And then the ones that I call the attachments are the ones that drain your energy the most. That's what I
Right.
call an attachment. When they start draining your energy, started affecting your thought, your pattern, how you're acting, the way you speak to people, that's what I call
Right.
an attachment, because
Yep.
their whole mentality changes because of that new add-on to them. I mean, I literally seen a 12-year-old boy at the time get an attachment, and I seen a shaman take it out of him, and we seen it walk out of the room on the SLS on the old team. We seen it walk literally out of the back part of the room when we were doing the ritual
Whoa.
to have him leave. Yeah, but this kid had the attachment of the guy that died in his house. This kid would get up and start drinking coffee profusely all day long. And he would and before I ever knew him, I was sitting out in front of the residence and I was watching him, and he had no idea I was there because this was one of my first investigations I went on. But I would literally watch him walk down the street. He would stop. All of a sudden, he would look and hesitate, and then he'd turn around and walk back the other way. So then he started walking down the other part of the street like he knew where he's going. He would do the same thing again and turn around and go back home. Well, I thought that was really weird. And then as the investigation went on, we found out it was the guy that died there. And it come over, one of the voice boxes that he says, I wanted my life to be better than what mine was before. And he was trying to relive it through this 12-year-old boy. And like I said, on the old video with our old team, we had it, and you could see that figure literally walk out of the back of the room when the shaman told him to leave, when he gave him the options to do it.
So he
Wow.
wanted to
And
basically
that-
possess the child and live his life through the child.
Pretty much kind of relive his life. It wasn't really a super possession or anything like that, but it was a big attachment because the kid's attitude changed. Like I said, he started drinking coffee and doing things that he never did. And his mom thought it was weird, and that's why she ended up calling us in for that investigation. And we ended up going there a few times for a couple other incidents. But yeah, the very first one, we seen a shaman do that, and that's what got me hooked on a lot of stuff. And that's why I started taking shaman classes, because the way he handled it and the way he got rid of it. And he gave that spirit a choice to either go to the upper world, the middle world, or he can go where he wants to, below, so he can figure out his life. But he had to leave the boy. And that was the only options he had. So, but yeah.
Wow.
And Tammy, I think, was with us on that investigation one time when we ran into stuff like that. And on her way home, the spirit said killed something. And I think it was her cat or her dog, if I remember right.
Wow.
But
Her cat. By a coyote,
wait a minute. Here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
After they went there, it said her cat died. So it was exactly what was going on.
Something that struck me about that story was you said that he would walk to either end of the, I guess, property and like turn back around. Do you think he was like bound to the property so he couldn't leave?
No, I think what was going on from everything I witnessed with him is he was wanting to do what the guy did. And then all of a sudden he realized it wasn't what he wanted to do. Okay. And he turned around and would go another direction. But it was like that big moment. He would just like walk down the road like he was going to a location. And then all of a sudden he just like turn around and come back. But I think it was like the guy was wanting him to go to a specific place. And then all of a sudden he just kind of popped out of it.
Interesting.
So may I have missed it, but I do believe this was a demonic attachment or just any nasty human spiritual influence.
Do you believe?
I don't understand.
He's asking, was it a demonic attachment or a nasty human influence? Like spiritual.
I just think
nasty
it was
human.
I just think it was the human trying to relive his life. Like he said, he had a bad life and he was trying to relive it through the boy and make up for all the bad stuff that happened to him when he was growing up.
Blake, did your attachment drain your energy or anything?
Yeah, mine was very much, whenever, so mine would almost play with me in a weird way. It'd be like, he'd come in, he'd be there and be very present, intimidating, trying to get me to react to different things, trying to get me to communicate with different things, and in different ways. Yes, very draining of the energy, very hard to think, function. I make to-do lists, hard to get through my to-do list during the times that he would be. It'd almost be like he would like come and go, if you will. He'd show up and for like a good week, maybe 2 weeks solid, it would just be chaos in my house and with me and in my life. And then it would tamper down and then it'd come back again. And finally, I think it just, once I started sicking enough Reiki healers and priests and psychic mediums and us after him, myself after him, I think he started to kind of, push back just a little bit. And I haven't had any issues with him in quite some time. Again,
you started ignoring him too. And at one point though, Blake, forgive me, I don't remember how we came to this conclusion, but he had actually wanted like water from a specific body of water. He wanted a feather. He wanted something. And that was his terms for leaving. And I said, you will not do that. We do not appease them. We're not going to do what he wants to do. He's negative. He's going to go with nothing given to him.
That came from
West Texas Paracon
reading that I believe that I received, and I was told the only way that I could make amends with him for what the wrong, quote unquote, the wrong that I had done was to collect and give him gifts the next time I went back to Yorktown Memorial Hospital that consisted of he wanted a black feather. He wanted water from a specific body of water, which was up near Dallas, which is about 2.5 hours away from me. He also wanted dirt from another location. Yep. He wanted all of this presented in a jar to him, left at the hospital. And I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that because
the last thing you need to do.
It doesn't feel right to me. And number two, that to me is like just gifting you with something. What promise do I have that it's going to go the hell away?
And that
Yeah,
seems
I'm
like
not
some
doing
kind of
that.
binding ritual
Right,
as
that-
well.
I was gonna
say,
And we ain't doing
Yeah,
that.
that could be like
Yeah.
a covenant in their world or
Exactly.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like you're
Yeah.
giving a donation to him, and he's going to attach to you permanently. Is what that kind of sounded like. And
Exactly.
yeah, you don't give things that do that to people. You don't give
Mm-mm.
them anything. You just
Oh,
sure they're
no.
gone. That's definitely for sure.
Well, because in my head, I was like,
Um,
listen, I will find somebody at some point in my life that will be strong enough to get you out of here and away from me. You know, I mean, I'm not going to give you what you want. I
Mhm.
didn't ask for you to begin with. So why am I going to listen to your commands? Like you can listen to mine and get the hell away. You know, but I'm not going to
Right.
go out of my way to do this for
Yeah,
you.
Right.
yeah, that was something whenever Blake was telling me that, I'm going, no, we do not negotiate with something that's terrorizing you. It has to
No.
go, and that is the only thing it can do is go. You know,
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
playing with that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Nathan
Yeah, I
Atwell
do.
says that definitely did not sound like a good idea. It sounds like a binding ritual to me. And I agree. I agree with Nathan, and I agree with Shelley as well when she said that. You know, because you're giving them certain items they're asking for, and who knows what they can do with those items from their perspective. And that would not be a good idea anyway.
Yeah, you're
Um,
agreeing to their terms.
like it's-
No, there are no terms. You
No.
leave.
No, yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Exactly.
exactly what it was. So it's like, no, because then, I mean, throughout the time from when I guess he attached to me up until really whenever I realized maybe he's gone, I don't know. I started looking into a whole different lot of it. Like my experience, my spirituality started to grow exponentially. So I was starting to learn different techniques and different things to be able to protect myself more. And I was bringing more of that into my house and my safe area and doing these things to better protect myself that way. And I think that helped to drive space between he and I as well, and ultimately push him on out. So like I said, it's been quite a while since I've had issues with him. Don't be showing your face.
Yeah, I was fixing to
Yeah.
say, tell him you don't want him back.
Because that's what he would do. He would almost lull you into a false sense of security, and then
Yes,
he'd
he
pop
would.
right back up.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would.
So
Yeah.
So
he needs
And
to
we
stay where
got
he's
to the
at.
point we wouldn't even say his name. We'd be like, "Have you seen him today?" Not,
Yeah.
you know. And I still don't say his name. Like I said, old
No.
dude. You know, you seen old dude lately? Because I figure invoking what we called him is almost like calling him.
Mhm.
So
Right.
I'm like, "Yeah, you seen the
Right.
old boy today? He been lurking. Seen the lurker? You know."
Well, that's like I said, it's great to hear, you know, other teams' experiences and how they've dealt with things and stuff and everything.
Yeah, it
So
is.
that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons why I like to do this show. You know, to be able to talk to other teams from around the country and get their experiences and how they've dealt with things. We are just about at the top of the hour. Is there any questions you have, Gwen, that's come to mind that you'd like to ask one of our guests?
Honestly, one for Blake. Have you ever just thought about wearing a crystal, like, or something, just to keep you? I mean, this guy, yeah, he needs to go
I have
far away.
so I have oh god, let's see here. I have
You probably
Show
got
him all your
everything.
goodies.
A list.
Blake,
You make that list
I
for that
have-
too.
Do you
Let's
have the
see it.
cords?
Got
Do you
my
have the black
back
cords with you?
right there.
Yeah.
No, so just sitting behind me on these shelves, just behind. This is kind of my safe area where I do a lot of my at home practice type stuff with my gifts.
I
and
see your
abilities.
stuff. I see it on my big screen. So yeah.
Yeah, and so back here, I have got a tower of selenite that's about 10 inches tall and about 4 inches wide. I've got black tourmaline that is about half that size. I've got smoky quartz that sits up top over here. I've got regular quartz. I've got pretty much anything that you can think of that is energizing, clearing, protection. Bracelets. Whenever I investigate, I have crystal bracelets that I wear. I have a seven archangel pendant that I wear as well. I pull from a lot of different religions for my own set of beliefs. I'm very spiritual and nature based. I'm very well protected here in my house. I'm very well protected whenever I go out. So yeah, yes, I have crystals everywhere. I have them
Well-
hanging in my car.
But I'll tell you that
I'm glad to
whenever you-
hear it too. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Whenever you got that attachment, though, it was right after that I gave all of us the 7 archangels
Yeah.
pendant, because I was like, we need something And then the very next location we went to, mine disappeared from around my neck, and we still this day have no idea where it went.
Nope.
Ah.
No.
Now, Blake, do you have your black quartz that you had that was white before he showed up?
Oh, my smoky quartz before
Yes.
he showed up? Yeah, I've got it right here.
Yeah, he had. I mean,
this is smoky quartz, which we understand there's supposed to be a little bit of black to it. You know, we get that, but I don't think I've ever seen one turn black.
It turned black
Mm-hmm.
whenever the
Like,
negative guy was
Whenever
around.
he showed up.
Completely black.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's
And
time
I was
to
with
I've
you when
never
we
bury-
bought that crystal, and it
Like-
was not that dark.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
it's probably about time I need to bury that back into the earth and let let
I
Mother
think
Nature
I
take care
would
of that.
stick that in the ground. I think
Yeah.
I would stick that in the ground with some salt there, Blake, and make sure
Yeah.
that never came back.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
let
that'd be a
Mother.
good idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Mother Nature take care of this.
Yeah, like I said, I'd add some salt to it, make sure it doesn't come back.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a smoky crystal do that. That's definitely interesting as well. Is there anything you guys like to announce before I set you backstage? If anything is coming up that
Hey, Blake, tell them
like-
everything they need to know.
There you go.
Yeah, so we do our weekly podcast on Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night Central Standard Time at 8 p.m. Where we cover everything but paranormal, cryptid, UFOs, aliens, true crime, everything in between. So come over there and watch us on that. We also do public investigations. If you want to find us on Eventbrite, we sell tickets to those. Just look for everything vaguely paranormal. As well as if you are traveling at all, we will be at a couple of Paracons. Our first one is going to be this weekend at the Missouri Paracon on February 28th through the 1st at the Ameristar Casino and Hotel in Kansas City. Hey, I'm trying to do this off of memory, guys. I close it out every week.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, if y'all want more of us and more content, we're a little bit dig at each other a little bit more on our own platform. Y'all can come
We've
over
been
and watch
nice here. I'm so proud of
it.
Yeah.
us.
We have. I'm
Very
very,
nice.
very proud of us for that. But yeah, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m.
I have-
on Facebook and YouTube.
I've definitely watched you guys' show. It's definitely interesting, and a lot of the topics you guys came up with, especially
Thank
the
you.
one I watched one night that you were finding the objects that were put in people's arms or their body that was actually had calcium around them. I think I chimed in on that one. That
Dr.
was a
Lear's work.
very
Yeah.
interesting.
Mhm.
topic. Yeah, that was definitely an interesting show I watched that night, and a few others I've caught
you.
as well. I try to catch you guys when I can, and sometimes I'm on with somebody else as well. But you're more than welcome to always share on our channel as well. And I think Gwen would say the same
Thank
thing
you.
with All Access.
Yes.
We could share you guys out
Absolutely.
as well.
Thank you.
You can
I
always
think
go
you guys-
watch us on our YouTube page. If you missed the episode, go back and how much content do we have on YouTube? 170. How many episodes?
We are in season 4 of the actual podcast.
Yeah.
We've got 173 or 173rd
Yep.
episode is coming up this week. Demonic Possession. Next week we'll have Nathaniel Elwell on with us.
Yes.
So we'll be interviewing
He's
him.
coming to our channel. So yay!
Nice.
Yay!
Okay,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have him.
Yeah.
We'll have him on the first Tuesday in March. So we're excited to talk to him.
Heck yeah.
And
Cool.
learn about all his adventures and journeys and stuff. So
He has no idea what he's in for. Don't tell him.
we got
He's
hundreds
watching.
of videos.
He's watching.
Yeah, he's watching.
You'll be
Yeah,
fine,
he's in-
Nathaniel. You'll be fine.
Hey, you want a bicycle for all that backpedaling you're doing?
Yeah.
But yes,
and
we've got hundreds of videos that you can go and watch on YouTube and all of that kind of stuff. So
yeah, Nathaniel. Yeah, I'd definitely like to have you come on the show when you get a chance. We'll get
Yes.
something set up for that as well. But yeah, check these guys out. Everything Vaguely Paranormal. They're a great group. Check out their show. They do some awesome work. They really dig into a lot of the subjects they do, and it's definitely worth watching. So check these guys out. And you can find them on YouTube and etc. there that I've got listed below down here. I had to type it all, and I can't remember all of them myself. But they're on almost every platform. They're almost on every platform for sure. And like I said, they're a great team. Go check them out.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for coming on the show tonight. We'll definitely have to have you back on again in the future, because I'd like to dig into some other topics as well that you guys have done as well. But the conversation went really well tonight. And like I said, you check these guys out. I'm going to set you guys backstage. And like I said, thanks for coming on. And I'll chat with you backstage here in a few minutes.
All right. Thanks.
Cool. Sounds good.
What do you think, Gwen?
They are very cool. I was listening on my way in. I'm not always late for anybody that notices that, but I had dinner with the sis, so that had to happen. But yeah, they're great. Absolutely great. And Nathaniel is, I knew he was watching and he wants to come on. So let's get him on. Let's do
definitely get him on. We'll definitely get him on for sure. And
anybody who's watching, I'm going to play this over on All Access in probably about 30 minutes.
Yeah. So we do got a couple things we're going to show here before we close out the show real quick. So should we do the one we got the information for last night, or should we use that as our ending?
I don't know. I'll let you choose.
All right. Let's do All Access first, and then we'll close it out with the other. So here's a commercial. Here's our commercial that Gwen has put together for All Access Television Network. Did a great job there, Gwen, for that little commercial you've done for us. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So
thanks.
I know Shelly, Blake, and Ryan have all been to this location. And last night we had the opportunity to talk to one of my dear friends as well, Miss Jamie Lynn Keller, and Mr. Chris Hartley or Hartle. Make sure I try to pronounce that right, Hartle. And they have a great event coming up in July. And I know, like I said, Blake and Shelly and Ryan have all been to this location, and I'm looking forward to this. And I'm definitely going to be there in the crowd when this happens. So without further ado, I will play this video of the event that is coming up as well. And we will have a special live show Friday night with Jamie Lynn Keller and Chris Hartle. So here we go. And this will close out the show. You guys have a great night, and we will see you Friday. But I will close out with this video.
Brace yourself for the Paranormal Rockdown, July 18th and 19th, 2025 at the Haunted Broadhead Manor. Friday night, rock out with Dead Amsterdam, Left on Red, and headliner Green Jelly. The music may not be the only thing shaking these walls. Rumor has it the spirits love a good beat. Will you meet one? Saturday, meet paranormal legends like Dave Schrader, Sam Baltrusis, and more. Enjoy thrilling workshops, tasty treats, and a live Zoom Q&A with Dustin Perry. Dive into the ultimate paranormal investigation with expert guides. Or join a spine-tingling seance with Sam Baltrusis. Tickets are limited. Get yours now for an unforgettable weekend of music, mystery, and chills.
We will see you Friday. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.